with your unicorn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little unicorn. Little cuddle buddy for this fucking wild ride.
You might need a puke into her. Well,
oh my gosh.
I'm Kara.
I'm Chris.
And
we're the Babies. Reminds me of like the fucking Kermit.
We read The Troop by Nick Cutter. I want to say like 2 months ago, because you were reading it, and then you were like,
"You gotta read this,"
and I was like, okay. Like now I'm at the point where it's like if she puts it on the list, I'm like, okay, I'll get to it. You know, and she's the same. Yeah. But it's interesting because we'll be on like different vibes of books at different times. Like I'm really into like the horror thriller right now. Even though
I think like the Troop is what got you on that. Because, like, we were reading other things and I'm like, I wanted to change it up. I'm gonna read the Troop, and then I was like, girl, you have to fucking read this.
And then it sent me down a spiral. Yeah. Because I read like Womb and like some other things by Duncan. Like it like sent me on a spiral, and I was reading like Run on Red. Like it put me on a thriller like spiral, but this was more of like horror. Sci-fi. This is I've said this before, but this is also like a Dean Koontz type novel, but not. Yeah. And like again, it's just like Dean Koontz is like my Dean Koontz and like Stephen King are like obviously like the kings of horror or used to be, right? So when I say it's like that for me, that's just like the feeling I get when I read it. Yep. Now like we've talked about not Nick Cutter, but Nick Roberts has kind of like taken like the Stephen King hold for me. Like he is our generation's Stephen King. Nick Cutter, holy shit. Yeah. This had me be like, bro,
what the fuck?
What are you writing? What are you smoking? So yeah, you got me into it and you were like, you had only told me that it involved parasites and like an island, and I was like, that's enough.
This is the first one. Like, not a lot of books make me gag, you know, but this one I was like, oh, I don't like these. No.
I was sending her photos of me like at my book, like I'm literally vomiting on it, you know? Like,
Yep. Because it's very much like it's graphic in how he explains what's going on.
And it's not pleasant.
It is not pleasant. I just don't like buggies in that way.
Bodies are already weird, okay? And then like
when parasites are involved and they're coming out of the body.
And especially what these ones did.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it. It like gives me total every time
like heebie-jeebies. I'm like,
yes, but it gives me that feeling I had when I first watched Aliens. And you know something's crawling around inside of them. Like I have a big issue with that. I can't like what's the movie? The Ruins.
Yes.
Where,
you could, like see them.
I hate it.
And like, because we're gonna discuss it in the next episode. But in like Late Night with the Devil, he's like, there's worms in me, and I was like, oh shit, no. So this book is like taken in past tense, but the way it's written is super cool because they're telling the story, but then it'll like clip and you'll see like a news article. Yes. Or like lab notes. And you're like, oh.
I love that.
Yeah, so do I, right? Yeah. I like that when they're going to like tie it in, especially at the end. So you're like seeing news clippings of like island, you know, deserted, but like pathogen or whatever, like gonna detonate island. And we're over here like, well, like aren't our kids on the island, you know? So I guess we could start, you know, from the beginning. This like Boy Scout troop is gonna go on like to earn some of their like badges with like their Scoutmaster.
And they're already from a small
ass town. Yeah. They like have to like give up their phones before they go.
Like this is, and that's I think how usually troops are in general. Like if you're gonna go camping or whatever, like
remote island, you gotta build your own fire. Like we're gonna go out there and do the Boy Scout stuff. Yeah. And the Scoutmaster is Tim. Yeah. And he's like, I think he's a doctor, but like just like a
general.
Yeah, he ain't like a surgeon.
Nope.
He ain't dealing with no like brains, you know. Just like you got the flu.
Yeah.
not to discredit what GPs do, okay?
But in
this small town, he was like, this shit way above my head.
He just goes in and literally says, yeah, I got the flu, here, has some antibiotics.
Yeah, has some antibiotics.
He has not seen anything. Maybe a finger being gone because whatever fishing accident happened, you know?
So no cell phones. They only have this like emergency radio that the scoutmaster has. And they like get into like the cabin. This boat drops them off, and they'll come pick him back up after the end of the weekend.
Yeah, 3 days.
So they like get to the cabin, but like then all of a sudden there's this man
that just shows up on a boat.
Yeah, and he's like asking for food, and like we see it from the kid's point of view on the island, and from the man's view, Tom. Not to be confused with Tim.
Yeah.
So Tom, we also see that he's like sick.
Yeah.
And he's like wandering around the city, like looking to like eat anything and everything he can.
Like a roadkill.
Yeah, like it's gross.
Fucking styrofoam. Like shit like that. Like he has this unsatiable hunger.
Yeah. And he ends up like stealing a boat and going to this island and end up at the same time. So that's then he approaches the cabin. Tim is like, what the fuck is going on? Because you don't look right, you ain't acting right.
Kids, he made the kids stay outside. He let the Tom in
to feed him.
Yeah,
right.
So you're like, okay, we have some food, but like this is it, because obviously they're there for 3 days or
and then
nights.
On Tim. He coughs on him. A big old wet one, I assume.
Yeah.
And then like a skerfunkle happens. The radio gets broken. I'm like, there's like a little bit of panic going on inside.
And that's all Tom, because he just cannot stop eating. He starts eating the fucking couch.
Dude, like when we're saying he's eating anything,
everything.
An insatiable hunger. Like nothing he eats is gonna do it. And like we find out why later, right?
Yeah.
So like a kerfunkle, one of them happens. The kids are like, you need help, Tim? And Tim is like, no.
Because Tim lost, like, they were outside, we got everything together, and he's like, just go to their room. So, like,
and stay in there.
Fucking stay. Like, he puts like a chair under the door.
Yeah,
he's
like I don't want you to come
wrong.
out because something is up with this dude. I can't explain it. He's either like really sick or something's going on. So the next morning, Tim is like, I still don't know what is wrong with this guy. So I'm just going to send the kids out to do their hike on their own.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, all of these boys have their own things going on.
Yeah. They're all teenagers. So, puberty.
There's a lot of, like, ego bumping and, like,
well, because what is
who is the leader of the group?
Was it Kyle or is it Peter?
Let's see. Because there's Max, Ephraim, Kent, Newton, Shelley.
No, it was Kent.
Kent is the douche, right?
Douche, but, like, his dad is, like, the fucking sheriff. That's what it is. His dad is the sheriff. So and of course, you see the relationship. Kent does talk about his dad. Yes. All the kids start to talk about, like, their home life. Like, you get an insight into that.
Because they're just stuck in the room, right? And then they're out walking. So, like, they're obviously going to converse.
Yeah, but Kent, his dad is raised him to be, like, you're a man's man. Blah, like, you have to be the leader of the pack. Like, this is just how it is. So he automatically takes
that role. Or thinks he should have that role.
Yeah.
But
little entitled little shit.
Yeah.
Tell you what.
So the boys return. Tim's sick.
Yeah.
And now they're like, oh, shit.
Well, Tim is starting to feel sick. And then while they were out, Tom died.
Yeah. So he confesses that, like, to Max, Tom is like, I think I'm sick. Right?
Yeah, because Max's dad is the mortuary.
Yeah, so he's like, can you help me do this surgery? I feel sick. I want to know what's going on so I can figure it out. So he's like, will you help me?
Oh, no, the kids are like, fuck no, there's a dead man in our cabin.
Well, this is before he dies, because then remember Max helps do the surgery on him?
Oh, no, that's right. That's
and then he dies.
Yeah.
While Max is, like, there.
Yeah.
And, like, Max... This is kind of traumatizing for him.
Yeah, because during this surgery, they get to find out.
Yeah, Tim, like, locks them in the closet.
Yeah.
The kids.
Locks him outside. It's only Max in there.
Yeah, and like all these giant worms like crawl out, like strangling him to death. Like you're like, what?
Yeah, like wraps around Tom's throat, starts like strangling
all over the room.
It's disgusting how it was done. Max is freaking out. Tim's freaking out.
So they actually, it was my bad. They lock Tim
in the closet.
And then Kent, one of the kids, drinks off Tim's whiskey.
Yeah, it was Kent. He was the first one.
Getting the virus as well, or the worms. And like shit just like
it goes
from here. I mean, like they wake up, all the food's gone.
Yep.
All of it's gone. No cooler. It's on the beach. It's empty. Kent ate it because he's sick. Like, but like won't confess that he's sick. So there's a lot of like, the other kids are like, well, like, tell me what's going on, like, so we can help you, or so we can like seclude you. But they're like, I don't want to tell you because I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of like
in the closet with
him between like the teenage boys, and as well as like fear.
Big time. So with the kids, like Kent, like I said, he's the one that was kind of taking over. He took over what was going on, but then he was the first one to get sick. Max and Ephraim are best friends. Max is the one that has more like taxidermy / mortuary knowledge experience because of his dad. Ephraim, he has anger issues. Big time. He's the one with the anger issues.
Shelly's the one who's trying to kill everybody on the island.
Shelly is just a fucking weirdo.
Psycho.
He's a psycho. He's the one, I don't remember what the term is for it, but he's the one where like he goes off and kills animals.
Yeah, he's a weirdo. He the whole time is like, I want to kill everybody on this island. And
he was doing all the weird shit. And then who was
Shelly?
No, that was Shelly, but who was the other kiddo?
Ephraim?
No.
Max?
Not Max, not Ephraim.
Because there's Kent, Ephraim, Newt.
Newt is the actual like Boy Scout. He's
like the true nerd.
Like they make fun of him, but like they're his only friends. You know, so like he deals with it, but he's the one that really like pulled everyone through at the end, trying to like. He knows this. He knows how to make the fire. He knows how to survive off the land.
He knows how to get food if needed. Like he's the one who like is going to be able to figure it out. Like he's going to thrive.
Yeah, and he did.
He did. It was fun. But it gets wild. Like
big time.
Once like Kent gets sick and all the food goes missing, like the boat that's scheduled doesn't come. You're getting news clippings and it's like there's some pathogen and we're gonna like bomb the island and like but nobody's there, so don't worry. And you're kind of like, but the kids are there.
Yeah, all these kids are just secluded, trying to survive, trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. Why are these parasites and like how are they getting on you? And then they come to find out like it is through like fluid contact, you know, things like that.
That's after they like lock Kent in like the cellar and he's down there like eating dirt. He's like eating dirt and shit. And there's like a big storm, which is why they put him in the cellar because they had him kicked out of the house like under a tarp. But like they also don't want to be in the house though because there's bodies and worms in there, so they're kind of like, okay, we'll do what we can.
And the storm comes through, but like they were hoping to be off the island by that time.
By that point,
because like the cabin doesn't really hold up very well. Trees fall on it. But like by the time that they were supposed to be like the boat was supposed to come, like they were already seeing like the army.
Yeah, boats, like the boats outside on their hike. And
Kent's dad,
like the helicopter.
Yes, the helicopter, like, hello, help us, and it just passes by.
Didn't drop food, nothing.
Not at all.
Not a note.
The Kent's dad and I want to say Max's dad, they stole a boat, was trying to get out there, but like they were not dead, but they were taken.
They were taken. I mean, when you read it, it's like, oh my god, they died.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like then like a bunch of shit hits the fan because you've got like Shelly like calling Ephraim on the walkie-talkie.
Oh my god!
Telling him to like cut the non-existent worms out of himself because they're all going mental. Also.
Oh yeah.
Well, not all of them. Some of them. Newt finds like berries and like laxative mushrooms to try to like purge themselves. They end up like killing a turtle.
And they didn't mean to. Like, they felt so bad.
Dude, and then they didn't even eat it. They buried it. I was like...
Yeah.
I was like, if you feel so guilty about killing this animal, put it to a purpose and eat it.
Yeah.
Do not just
bury it. But I think
it.
Newt was saying, like, they don't know if that animal was going to be infected.
That's true. So there was that question, but I was also like, dude, it was a rough read because you could tell how bad it was.
Oh my god. But like they were trying to find food, trying to do all this. It ended up being Max and Newt really surviving this because like Kent's fucked.
Ephraim's like dying, like, you know, because
he got all sorts.
Shelley's torturing, like. So everybody's spiraling.
Yeah.
Half of them are sick. And then you've got Shelley, who's just crazy over here, just trying to get people to kill themselves.
Yes.
Like set themselves on fire, cut themselves.
He's planning on literally killing them himself because he just wants that thrill.
Yep. And then he gets infected. Shelley does. But he like thinks of the worms as like part of him. Like babies.
Like that whole part where they have to go into the tunnel.
Dude.
And like all the other, like, there's other wormies happening in there, and then they're fighting Shelley, trying to get this done, and then, dude, it was bad. Like, I think they cut into Shelley, and the worms come out. And so, like, it's in the water, and, like, they're, Newt and Max are, like, trying to get the fuck away.
Out of there, but he's like, no, these are my babies. And it's like,
that was crazy.
And, like, then they try to get out. Like, I mean, then it is, like, we got to get off this island. They're like going into like the dead dude's stomach looking for like the boat spark plug because he ate it because he was eating everything, or maybe because he didn't want people to leave. It's kind of open to.
Yeah, I think he just ate it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he did too. I think he was just like
trying to find something, find that, and they were able like to get off the boat. They got confiscated. So like that's the gist of the book. But I do like where we are getting the scientific notes.
Yes, because they tell you what they were trying to do.
And it's all because of fucking weight loss.
Somebody tried to create a diet pill that had like tapeworms essentially in it.
Yeah, and like you read about how they were testing on animals, so like that sucked.
The military gave it to Tom, and then because they wanted a human purposely trial. Released him and sent him off. Yeah, and at the end, it's interesting because, you know, some kids make it, some don't, and
only I think one kid made it. One kid made it, and so at the end you hear about it, and you hear that it's all him like writing a journal to his therapist or whatever. Yep. So it was very. I thought it was a really good book. I thought. It was gross. Yeah, it was gross. It was spooky. It had a good mentality of like seeing these kids, like how they try to survive, how
different each of them,
their mental stability.
Yes, like they were written so differently. Like each child and even the adults, like everybody was gonna have a different path. Yeah. And I like that. I like that we weren't all just in the same mindset.
I felt so bad for Tim because he really just wanted to, like, this was going to be the last year, like, these kids were going to be doing this. And so he just wanted to have a good time. Make these kids, like, get through it, all that stuff. And then he's stuck in this fucking closet and he's hearing what they're, like, saying. But he's also having an internal battle with himself. And I think it's like the worms really telling him. Yes,
because he's like, I'm hungry.
And he's eating the fucking wallpaper.
And like the carpet and shit. And you're like.
But then the storm happens and like the tree just like crushes him in the fucking closet. And like when those kids get in because they needed the key or something from Tim.
But of all the ways to go.
It was quick.
I mean, at least you don't have to sit there and be like, I'm hungry for like fucking 40 more hours.
But like, and then there's a part where the kids went into the cabin, but they had to like trying to get around these fucking worms,
dude. That part, I was like, I don't like it.
And I want to say there was a part where, like, you can see it in their eyes, like something was moving.
Yeah, like you know when you have like a dust bunny or like something in your eye, and you see like the little like squiggle like go by, and you like blink a few times and it goes away. They were explaining that they were like seeing these worms like in their eyes, but like it was the parasite, and that to me I was like absolutely not.
That's what like the ruins really got to me because I can't anything under the skin like that, I'm like,
and Shelly being an asshole, like there's worms under your skin, the parasites in there, you gotta cut it out.
And he kept talking to Ephraim, and it was like, and I was like, I'm doing it, I'm gonna cut it. He was like, are you cutting deeper? Like they're there, man. Like,
dude,
I believe
it was so
you.
fucked
like,
up. It was so manipulative. I was like, this kid can't get off the island. He could not get off the island.
No,
he's a psycho. I thought it was really good. I think I read that in like 2 days. I just was like, oh my absolute, like, what is happening? I read
that shit so fast. Like, I could not put it down. And when I did put it down, it's because I was like,
gross. And I was shocked to find out it was all because of a diet pill. Even with like the experiments we saw, I was more along the lines of like, oh, it's like a military weapon. I like wasn't sure based off like the notes that they're giving you.
Well, and I also like with the notes they're interviewing some of them, like they're on trial or whatever, and they're interviewing like, well,
did you know that the doctor was doing this?
And he's like, no, because they pretty much like manipulated
this other doctor into being like, no, it's a diet pill, but like,
yeah, because
it's fine.
They're using it like on rats, and then on the fucking, was it chimp? That happened. That one, I hated reading that one.
That was a rough.
That was rough because like they literally break down like time, and then like a minute later, there's like fucking worms coming out of their ass,
and then like 7 minutes later they're like ripping their fucking body off
and eating it, and like, oh my god,
dude, I'm sorry, but like, no,
no. What gets me is when I was reading this, it's still around the time like Ozempic was like, I'm seeing those commercials and hearing about it, and I was like, oh, like I know this book came out way before that, but it's
you're
just like
that's
there's no fucking like we can't have this. I mean, but that's why people were like, will literally intentionally eat a fucking tapeworm to lose weight, and that was the whole point of this pill.
Yeah,
it was 2 pills. One pill was the worm,
and the one was to get rid of it. But to show who's willing to take that risk.
Yeah, but obviously the military like wanted to use it as
something else.
Whether
it's for torture, because
you think
if you're gonna go on a diet, you can't be hungry all the time.
Yeah,
because then you're gonna eat like that. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the way this parasite worked, it was clearly like feeding way too fast, right? Because they're like, I'm hungry, yet they're like losing weight.
It starts eating your insides, and then when there's nothing else to really like, because they still want to keep you alive, so they can grow and keep living.
The parasite, because it's what a parasite is, it needs you to survive. It will die without its host, right? So like,
you will eventually die. Obviously, like that is shown in this book, but it's. How he written. Oh my god, I can't talk. How it was written, I was like, oh god, like in the cases like this, like I've talked about how for fight or flight, like I am more of a fighter, blah blah blah. But if a parasite infected me like this, take me out. Take me the fuck out.
Noted. Actually, same.
Yeah.
All right.
Like we will just fucking do this because like,
you know what? We'd be like,
1, 2, 3,
go. Dude, we just don't shoot.
No.
Both of us were like, ah! It's like, we're all serious. I love you. 1, 2, 3, go. Ah! And then I'm like, fuck, I shot him first. I have to kill myself.
No, see, that's one of those you don't shoot each other. Like, you find something that you can just poison each other at the same, like, you just take it and you're good.
Let's jump off this cliff into the abyss together.
Facts.
Let's go out like true homies.
Holding hands.
Holding hands. It's in slow-mo for some reason. We hug. Then we splat.
Yep. Hey, but like, because it's one of those, like, if a zombie apocalypse type, things like that, it's like, no. Like, I would try to survive, but if I am bitten,
is something.
If I have a parasite in me, if there's something where we know for a fact there's nothing irreversible, take me the fuck out. If it's something I can survive, like if it was zombies and I wasn't eaten, I wasn't bitten. Cool, I'm gonna survive.
I'm gonna try my best. Yeah.
Once it happens,
then you're like, all right,
no point.
Game over.
Game over.
I'm done.
No fucking point. Especially parasites.
Yeah, I never really like read a book about parasites, but it was gross, and it was gross in like a good way.
Yeah.
I really liked it, and I liked being grossed out.
Yeah.
And then because after this book is when you suggested Womb.
Yeah.
And that's by Duncan Ralston, and then he has Gross Out as well. And
I still need to read that one.
And Gross Out are gross. But like this kind of like set me on that like mood of like
I want to be grossed out.
What other shit can like make me gag? Yeah, dude. Like what else? And so like we kind of went down that path because I like when a book or a movie or it evokes any sort of emotion. Like, yes, and this was not, again, like for shock factor or value. Like there was a lot that like they brought full fucking circle. So,
and I can see this fucking happening. I think that's also why I like it. I could see this happening because scientists nowadays. Well, it's like,
or has this already happened?
Probably.
And like trying to find a great diet pill, has this already happened? You know, like I don't know. It was almost like too real. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which was what made it scary and made it gross. And call it like a gory like thriller.
Oh yeah.
I'd say it's like 4.2 out of 5. I like the way it was written. It flowed well. Yes. I was
even with the scientific shit in between, like I thought that was a nice break.
Yeah, and like it wasn't always like a break, like you said. Like one of them was like the schedule of like the monkey.
So and then it was like the news clipping of like what's happening because that's like what is being posted worldwide. Yep.
So they'll like do part of the story with like the boys, and they'll be like news clipping, you know, interview. Like scientific data, story, boom, 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 and I really liked that because it did bring it all the way back around for me.
So you know, like how this happened, why it was happening. Like, I really enjoyed
where their mindset was.
Yes, yeah. I just like this book.
What did you rate it?
Oh, about 4.2 0.3. Oh yeah, 0.3? For sure. Oh. It was good, and I want to read more Nick Cutter. And the next one I want to read is The Deep.
Yeah, I was gonna say
and that's the one that's under fucking water.
You'll have fun with that.
I started listening to it.
Okay.
But I think for his books, because it has a lot of detail and more like the science and shit behind it in that way, I'd rather read it to fully understand because I had to stop reading it because I was not absorbed or listening to it. I wasn't absorbing it. I was getting bored. I need to read
the words to like keep the brain active. Yeah.
So I'm like, no, I need to physically have it in hand or on my Kindle and read it.
So. Yeah, maybe I'll, because I don't have a book right now, but maybe I'll like start that tonight.
Yeah.
And see, because I could use some.
Because I know that's when when I first started listening, it's like he hasn't talked to his brother in a while, so he had to go to where the facility is, and it's underwater, and like. Going through that process and seeing what they were working on.
Okay.
So that's the gist of what was going on.
I like this mad scientist stuff. And that's where I'm like, I feel like it's Dean Koontz because he always went with like the weird fucking creepy scientist that was like out to torture women or whatever.
Oh, Jesus.
But, like, so that's why I'm like, I get Dean Koontz vibes. It's very sci-fi, but like horrifying. Yeah. And you're like, oh.
And that usually isn't up my alley, but I feel like because it relates. It's just relatable. Like, this could fucking happen. That's what gets me.
Yep. He did a great job. Yeah. Flowed really well.
Yes. And that's one, no, I do have that. It says a physical book. So, yeah, I want to
get... Yeah, you did, because I borrowed the physical book.
So, I want to get a physical book of...
We'll post the photo of me.
Yeah.
The book.
I think mine, I was sending it to you in Snap, so I don't think I don't have those anymore.
I'll blow her up on text and like photos of like me reacting to books. Like I sent you one last week.
Yeah.
No, or was that with the womb?
It was a womb,
dude. Yeah. I was sending her photos and I was like,
I love getting them too. I just start giggling.
Like some of them were blurry because I'm like moving and I'm like, I don't even care.
I don't typically send you those because like my face is pretty neutral when I read. I don't have those reactions.
Mine is not.
But with the troop, I remember sending you. I'm like,
You're like, no.
I don't like it.
All right, well, we'll be back next week.
We got a movie to watch and then a little fun one that we're doing.
Yes.
And then we're reading more. I'm in a reading slump right now. Like, I have a book. I think I'm only about 30-40% through. And it's a short book, but like, I'm
Run on Red.
Yeah. I just like, I'm into reading stuff. It's a good book.
It is a good book. I want to reread it, actually.
Yeah, like I'm loving it, but I just haven't
gotten into it.
You know, it's I haven't been wanting to read.
Yeah.
I hate that, especially when I'm like halfway through a fucking book.
Yeah, and you're like in a slump now. You're like, fuck, now I'm not in like the mood to read.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Because I have them too. Like, you know how I was like, I'm not going to start a book the other day? I was like, but I have like 7 different shows to watch.
Yeah.
Well, I watched them all in 2 days. So,
now you're like, all right.
I guess I go back to reading because I'm a self-isolationist.
Yep.
Like,
well, it's like I've been wanting to crochet more, but I don't read while I crochet. So, well, I mean, I can.
You could listen.
I could listen, and like I've done that, but what I'm working on right now, it's thinner needles, thinner yarn. So like I have to like pay attention.
Be very focused. It's hard to focus.
Yeah.
When your brain is like, I need to do
like,
this,
I have to do
right?
Because I can't
subconsciously, then it's hard to like absorb. So I get it.
Yeah, like if I'm using regular yarn or whatever, I'm just like working on fucking whatever. It's like I can read at the same time doing it because I don't have to look at my hands while I'm doing it. It's auto. I've been doing it for so long. I can do that, but right now it's like, no, the specific type of yarn and shit.
I don't know if you saw me in the office, like walking around with my Kindle on Monday, and my manager was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm reading my book."
Yeah,
and I'm like walking around like to the back, like the break room, and I'm like, you know, I'll put it up and I'll like fold laundry while I'm like reading on my Kindle and stuff like. If it doesn't require brain power, like if I'm walking somewhere or if I'm like taking a shower, like the Kindle is coming with me.
Yeah.
It's coming with me.
Done that multiple times.
It's coming with. Okay. I need that. All right. Well, we'll be back next week.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you'd like to see more from us, you can find us on Instagram at the Midnight Babes Podcast and on TikTok at the Midnight Babes. Stay spooky, friends.